Welcome to the E-commerce Momentum Podcast, where we focus on the people, the products, and the process of e-commerce selling today. Here's your host, Stephen Peterson.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Momentum Podcast. This is episode 20, Jay Bayne. You know, Jay's story is pretty similar in a lot of ways to most sellers that I talk with. You know, they need a little extra income, so they look for a side hustle. They have some stuff to sell. They find eBay. They get pretty good at it, but they're looking for something a little more. Somehow they find out about Amazon in the FBA world, and they're like, wow, I could grow this. And, you know, that story has been told over and over again from many people. Where Jay's story starts to differ is he has taken and built an information business in addition to his FBA business. So he works full-time. He has a large FBA business, but more than 50% of his income now comes from information services that he sells. And I think that that's the difference where he is really outshone the rest of us. In this segment, we're going to talk about how he got started, that need for side hustle income. And then we spent some time talking about Scanner Monkey, a group that he has formed, and it's 1,600 plus members, and it's been going for a long time. So let's get into the podcast. All right, welcome back to the E-commerce Momentum Podcast, and I'm really excited tonight to have a good friend and just an all-around great guy, Jay Bayne, with us. And Jay is just about everywhere. He is full-time employed outside of this online e-commerce business, but then he's got 3 or 4 different e-commerce businesses, and I just think it's fascinating. Your time management skills, your just gift of flow. It's better than anybody else I see. And my podcast is about process, so I think you're the right guy to talk to. Welcome, Jay.
Thanks. Well, thanks for having me. And I got to tell you, it's the cloning machine that really helped me out a lot. So. Thankfully I was able to get a good deal on it on Amazon, and I've got like 5 of me floating around doing all kinds of different things. That's the only way I can explain it to people. Like, how do you do what you do? How do you get involved with all these different ventures and stay sane? Which I don't know. Sanity is overrated in my opinion. Things
we're
going to
talk about
all the time. We call our house loosely controlled chaos, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I think that that's what is still so exciting. This has not become a job for you yet, has it?
No, not at all. I wake up, I spring out of bed every day. I'm like, I know you and I talked about this. You get up early, I get up early. I'm up at 5 and try to get a quick workout in, and just to help me cope throughout the day with everything that I'm dealing with. But no, I love what I do. I love my full-time job. I love my Amazon business. I love Scanner Monkey. I love Cyber Monkey deals and all the different things that I'm involved with. And none of them have become a pain in the ass for me yet.
And I think that's important. And I think, I get a lot of people that, I can't wait to quit my full-time. I have a great full-time job. I'm not ready to quit it either. And I think that, and I don't believe in balance because I don't think that that's logical. Segment. Darla Flack had a great comment about her business is a segment of her life, and she'll adjust that segment more than any other because she's not willing to adjust the kids segment and the husband segment. The business segment gets adjusted. And I think that's such a great way to look at this. And it sounds like you've done a really good job with this. How did you? Let's go back. Let's go back to were your parents entrepreneurs? Is that where the skills came from?
No, the skills I think came out of necessity more than anything. I'm a father of 3, so that can be kind of expensive. I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. I can't say that all of my ventures have been successful. I've had a couple of failed ventures in the past. As far back as when I first got into the wine business, I actually started an email marketing company for restaurants that I guess you could say was the precursor for Groupon. It was called dinerdeals.com. You could actually still see articles about it if you Google it. It was picked up by Austin Business Journal, where I used to live, and then 12 other business journals picked it up as well. The title of the article was "You've Got Meal," and what we did was just deliver a minimum, 20% discounts to various restaurants within a 2-mile radius of where you worked. So it was a great business venture at first, but the problem is that I found is it looks good on paper, but the people that were paying me for the service were restaurateurs, and not to belittle restaurateurs or make fun of restaurateurs, but the last thing in the world that they want to pay for is marketing. They have so many other expenses, so they're having to pay for wait staff and food costs, and of course wine and spirits and all the things that they have to pay for, and sometimes certain things just don't get paid for, or the check bounces, and so I just wasn't getting paid well enough for the time and effort I was putting into it, and of course trying to afford multiple sales reps to get out there and sell the program to the restaurateurs. So I had to kind of give that up. But that was one of my first entrepreneurial activities. But it certainly wasn't based on anything I saw in my family. My family, I come from a very blue collar background, military background. My dad and my brother both Air Force, 20 years for my dad, and then he went to work for a phone company, Centel, which became Sprint. Did that for another 20 plus years, and then he retired. Same job and just doing that, worked his butt off. He made good money, but there was no interest in doing anything outside of that or starting his own business. That's just been more me than anything else. And then, like I said, once I got married and started having kids, there was more motivation to make more money. And actually, I got into FBA because of needing some additional income. My daughter was having some health issues, and medical bills were mounting, and so I started looking at eBay. And, I was already buying a lot off eBay. My wife was buying a lot off eBay. I was like, well, maybe I can, try and sell some things and make more money. And I knew some people that did it. But, man, it seemed labor-intensive to me. It seemed like a lot of work for not as much return as I would have liked to see. And then I just kind of stumbled into Fulfillment by Amazon after, of course, reading the book that most of us read to get started, Chris Green's Arbitrage book, and I'm one of those people that sat down, read it in one sitting, and got so jazzed and excited about it, and it's like, all right, I'm going to start selling books around the house and certain things around the house, and start with a small investment and build it from there, and thrifting was my first step, and just continuing to reinvest all the money, and then I finally got to a point where I could start paying some of these medical bills, and then paying for vacations and paying for other things, and then I finally convinced my wife, who wasn't fully supportive at the beginning, that hey, this is I can actually make some good money doing this, and so it just kind of built from there.
So. If you can't tell, Jay's an exciting guy. I mean, he is fast-paced, go. I mean, that's your day. Like that day starts, and it's insane from the day you go. And you have a sales background, so you did go to college. And what's your degree in?
Believe it or not, it's in finance with a minor in marketing.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a marketing thing, because that finance degree, I just think is such a valuable tool in this online world, right? Because you can analyze things, you can break them down, but you're a salesman. I mean, you are a salesman. I don't care what anybody says. And I think that those sales skills are so transferable to FBA for dealing with store managers, for dealing with sourcing. Yeah. And so you really are the full package. Did any of the business, that you mentioned, the failed business, did any of those since it was online, I guess it transferred over. What did you learn from there that you transferred over that you do differently now in this FBA world?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing. I was developing relationship with restaurant managers. Ultimately, sales, you're selling yourself. You're not. I don't care what anybody tells you. You're not selling your product. You're selling yourself. I one of my favorite books about selling is called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. It's by Dr. Robert Cialdini, and I may be mispronouncing his last name, but it breaks down all persuasion into 7 factors of influence. One of them is liking. If somebody likes you, they want to do business with you. Another is authority. If they see you as an authority figure, again, they want to do business with you. Scarcity is one I used to use a lot in the wine business. It's like, well, I have this certain Cabernet, and well, I don't really like it that much. Really, they only made like 10 cases, and I've got like 5 coming to my market. Okay, can I have them all? So, that kind of thing. So putting those things into play helped me out a great deal with email marketing, and, now with dealing with or retail managers, whether you're talking Toys R Us or Target or Walmart, just going in there and developing those relationships to the point where I have one Toys R Us manager that would call me when a certain item came in. I used to sell a lot of Transformers. So, if there was any masterpiece collections that came through, he would call me and was like, hey, I got 3 of these. You want me to hold them aside for you? Absolutely. Don't put those on the shelf. I want those. I get first dibs on those. So I had his cell phone number. I'd call him up. I'd take him out to lunch. I'd, buy cookies for the customer service reps up there. And so, all those things kind of translate into, developing these relationships, which are, in my opinion, key if you're doing a lot of retail arbitrage. And that's really where my focus was for the first couple of years of FBA is more retail arbitrage than online or anything else.
Well, and I don't want to lose that, because I think that transfers perfectly into the next level of your business, which you're in the information business now. And a lot of it came from relationships. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely. A lot of everything. A lot of all my successes come from relationships. I mean, I've been able to align myself with, quote unquote, the right people. My dad. This is something I say all the time. People probably get tired of hearing me say it, but my dad used to always tell me, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. So I look at that and I think of people like, of course, Chris Green and Dwayne Malick, Bob Willey. I've had coaches that have helped me out a great deal. Bob being one. Robin Johnson, the Jim Cockrum team. So all of that stuff helped me build not only my FBA business, but Scanner Monkey and eventually Cyber Monkey deals as well. It's just relationships. I can't emphasize enough the importance of developing the right kind of relationships.
Well, and Andy Simmons always says, iron sharpens iron. And you sit back and you think about that. You really, when you're around strong, solid people, you raise your game. You have no choice but to raise your game, right? And so I think about some of the conversations that I've even had with you, sitting around having a beer. It's just the level of conversation that you can. You're talking at such high levels. It just really makes a stronger. Reinforces what you're doing, or somebody has already done it and they're like, hey, well, here's how I did it. And I think that as long as you give, you'll get, right? I mean, I think that's the critical piece. You have to give.
Exactly. And it's, give first and give more. Give as much as you possibly can, because I'm also a big believer in what comes around goes around. What you give is what you get. And the more you give selflessly, the more you get in return. I can't tell you how much my life has been enriched with because of the members of my group of Scanner Monkey. It's just getting to know these people and then finding out there's some tip that, we shared in the group, whether it's me sharing it or anybody else sharing it. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for everything that's shared in the group. We have so many amazing members, but, people that come into the group and it's like, you really, the group really changed things for me, and I want to do something for you in return. Here's a bolo, or here's, a little tip that's helped me that maybe could help you as well, or here's something, a wholesale supplier or whatever. It's just things have really changed a lot, I think, in the last 3 years. We've kind of gone away from that competition mindset to more of an abundance mentality, to more of a co-opetition. It's a term I use quite a bit. It's like we're competition. Yeah, we're selling against each other, but we're also helping each other. 2 heads are better than 1, and 200 heads are better than 2, and 2,000 heads are better than 200. So, I'm a big believer in sharing information in large groups and helping each other out. And you just never know what little tip or resource or strategy is going to take your business to the next level.
And somebody's going to build on it. I think about some of the great ideas I've had, and then somebody comes along and says, oh, did you think about this? And I'm like,
yeah.
No. I'm like, oh, my God. What am I, an idiot? I mean, I just can't believe I didn't think of that. But there's a lot of value in that. So Scanner Monkey, is 1,600 plus members. I just checked. I've been a member for years. I guess I've been a member. I was one of the
founder
initials.
monkeys, as we like to call them.
Way back.
You were there from the beginning.
and I really don't use it much at this point of my life. However, I do appreciate when I see a note come through, or once in a while I'll answer a question for somebody or whatever. But where did the idea for Scanner Monkey come from way back?
Well, Scanner Monkey, the story that I tell, Cordelia, who is kind of my right-hand monkey, as I call her, queen monkey of the group, together we wrote a book called The Scanner Monkey Way, and there's actually a whole chapter devoted to the origin story of Scanner Monkey. And in essence, it's turning a negative into a positive. Like I said, the landscape used to be pretty different, about 3 years ago. That's about I think it was about 3 years ago. I was noticing in a few groups that you would post things and you'd kind of get blasted or flamed for sharing, product finds or bolos, and people would get upset. It's like, hey, that's, one of the items I sell on Amazon, and now you've outed it. And I had actually asked a question in Scam Power, which is an amazing group, highly recommended. If you're not in it, if any of your listeners are not in it, you definitely need to join. I think it's over, 12,000 members at this point. But Chris Green runs it. Chris Green is, my number one mentor and has really helped me out a great deal in the FBA biz and really all my businesses. But I had asked a question about 3 years ago about a specific Doc McStuffins doll and why Amazon themselves, why were they not on the listing? I was really curious to know why an item that's ranked, at the time it was like ranked around 150 or something like that. It's under 300 for sure. And it's like, why wasn't Amazon on this listing? I was, buying this thing at Toys R Us for $19.99 and selling it for $70, $80. And I didn't want the rug to get pulled from under me and like Amazon come in here. So I thought maybe somebody might have some insight on it. I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna get on this. So, be careful. Don't go deep on this item. But instead what happened was a bunch of people came out and said, how dare you out this product? And this is something that I'm selling, and now the price is going to tank because, 6,000 members now know about it. Now, keep in mind, this is an item that was on Good Morning America, on the Michael and Kelly show, as one of the hot toys of the year. So it's not like people didn't know about this particular product. But it was pretty upsetting because, this post on Facebook, I think there was probably about 300 comments within a couple of days. And, a lot of it was kind of hateful. And I got a lot of bad private messages as well. And I actually begged Chris to take the post down because I just didn't want to take any more of the abuse. And wisely, Chris said, let's keep this up. This is a discussion that we need to continue. We need to have this BOLO debate about, outing a product. You can't out a product that's on every end cap of every Walmart in America, right? So, there was more discussion, and one thing I found is there was also a lot of people that were in support of the abundance mentality. So I started kind of keeping track of those people and watching the types of interactions they had in different groups. And behind the scenes, I started developing relationships with those people that had that same positive mindset that I did, that abundance mentality. There's enough to go around for all of us sellers. And, friended them, and they were kind of the foundation of Scanner Monkey. So when I was ready to form my own group, what I did was I reached out for them. I said, I want you to be the first member. We're going to share bolos in this group, just so you know. And we're definitely on board. So I signed up. Chris was my first member other than myself, and Brian Vino was my second member other than myself. And we were like the first 3 members of Scanner Monkey. And Chris put a post up in Scam Power. It's like, hey, the infamous Jay Bayne has started a group. If y'all are interested, they're going to be sharing bolos and telling stories and having fun and blah, blah, blah. And, check it out. And like within 2 days, I had 600 members in Scanner Monkey. So, he helped launch Scanner Monkey. And so, everybody was thrilled that there was finally a place where they could kind of share these product finds, and that seemed to be really the focus more than anything else. And we've since evolved. We still share product finds, but that's not like the only focus of the group. So, it was more about the bolos, and we ended up having 20, 30, sometimes even 40 bolos during Q4 when I first started. This thing, I started Scanner Monkey last year in October, but the year before. So we're going on our 2-year anniversary this October. And so that was kind of the focus. And then it's just kind of evolved since then. Now we offer, discounts to other FBA-related services. So if you need a repricer, we have members-only discounts on repricers. If you need, scanning software, we have discounts on that. If you need, assistance with tax services like TaxJar, again, we have discounts on that. But ultimately, it's about sharing ideas and tips and strategies and helping each other get better, helping each other grow your businesses. And the cool thing that has been kind of a little side benefit for a lot of the members is they formed mastermind groups, smaller mastermind groups, from Scanner Monkey and from our sister site, which is the Bolo Exchange, where you can exchange Bolos privately. And so, and I know Andy Slamans talks about this all the time in his groups, his various groups that he's involved with, that, developing those mastermind groups, that was like the number one benefit for him in Scanner Monkey, is getting to meet, and Bolo Exchange is getting to meet the people that he was able to meet in the group, and then forming these smaller groups to build his business.
That's how him and I met, and we only lived 20 miles from each other.
Is that right?
We became
You met him through Scanner Monkey?
I'm sure that's how we met, because I think that was my first group I was in, and so I think the point of Scanner Monkey, and we talked a little bit offline, is I think the negativity is all gone, because now there's 150 groups every month. It seems like,
and it's all due to Scanner Monkey.
It really is, and I think it really does start back to that beginning. No, but I really think it comes back to that. I think that's important to note, is that people realized, wait a second, you don't have to share everything. You're not going to share your whole business model. You're not going to share, certain things. You're going to share some common things. And I just interviewed Mendy Lipsick, and he gave a great example of somebody he's helping, who he helped somebody with something in Walmart, and the guy's like, hey, while you're in Walmart, also pick up this, and they're on opposite sides of the country. That now, he's like, I'm already going there. For me to get that too, it's just gravy for me. Yeah. And I think that those relationships came from Scanner Monkey, which allowed for a lot of these other groups to get started. And not everybody gets along, and so the value of having like people in different groups, I think, is really valuable. So I think Scanner Monkey has a place. I think it's a great, as I mentioned to you, I send new people there because I think that's the safe place to ask basic questions, and you really need, and it'll open your eyes to other possibilities. You're not gonna get rich from it, but it's gonna make you all of a sudden say, oh, I never thought about that, and oh, can I do this? Oh, here's how you do that. And there's so many people willing to answer, and I think that's been why you've been so successful, and it's grown. It's not small. It's grown enormously. So I want to take us in a break, and then I want to talk about your newer venture, the Cyber Monkey deals, because I think that's the next level for people who want to move their business forward. So let's take a break, and we'll come back.
Sounds good.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Seller Essentials, essential business solution for online sellers. Whether you sell general merchandise on Amazon or eBay, private label your own product, or if your focus is selling books, wholesale products, or liquidation lots, let Seller Essentials be your online resource for all things e-commerce. Essential resources, essential solutions, Seller Essentials, the Internet's premier venue for online professional. Visit selleressentials.com for more information. That's selleressentials.com. All right, before we jump back into the podcast, man, can you feel the vibrations from Jay? He is all abuzz, man. That guy is on fire. In this segment, we spend a lot of time talking about Cyber Monkey deals because my belief is that new sellers really need to start out, in a Scanner Monkey kind of group where you can ask the silly questions that we all have. I mean, we all have had them. So, silly as they are, we've done them. And that's a great place to do it. It's easy. People are approachable. It's just a great place to meet other people. And again, you're going to see other things you never thought of, and it's going to open your eyes. When you want to graduate into a next size group that you need help with, again, I see sourcing services as a way to cut time out of your schedule. That'll give you back hours that you need, and it's a great way to go. But Cyber Monkey Deals, I think, is a great place to go because it does the easy categories, toys, doesn't do clothing and things like that, but it gets those easy categories and really helps you find other products to sell in those categories. So we spend quite a bit of time on that, and Jake gives some really great advice and some really good tips. So let's get back into the podcast. All right, we're back, and we're talking with Jay Bayne. And Jay is a full-time wine salesman, sales manager, actually, has an FBA business of his own that he's really spent some time on and really figured out some cool things about it, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that. But then, he started Scanner Monkey and a couple of years ago, and it's really grown to over 1,600 members. In addition, he started a new business called Cyber Monkey Deals. You partnered with an individual who had an existing product, and you built on top of that product. Walk us through how that all came about.
Absolutely. So, yes, Trent Wynn is my partner with Cyber Monkey Deals. And a few people probably know Trent Wynn is also the creator of Scandroid Pro. So Trent came to me, I want to say it was April of last year. Yeah, it was April of last year, and he had asked me if I would help him beta test this automated online sourcing website. And basically it's data scraping. So he has, we call them bots that go to, at the time there were 6 stores. So it was Target, it was Walmart, it was Disney Store, it was Toys R Us, a couple of others. And these programs would find items on these online websites that you could resell on Amazon for a profit, like a minimum $4 or $5 profit at the time. And so I was glad to help him with something like that because that would help me find more products to sell on Amazon. And then I also found 10 members of the Scanner Monkey group that were willing to help out with this as well, and they volunteered to beta test the program. And then he used the feedback that I gave him and these 10 beta testers gave him to develop Scandroid Pro. And one of the things that was a must-have for all of us was, we had been burned, many of us had been burned in the past about, joining these deal lists, and then 100 people get the same deals. Everybody, it's a race to get into Amazon warehouse, and then the product arrives, and then it's a race to the bottom. And so I wanted to avoid that. So he figured out a way to put in an algorithm that would randomly assign the product finds to all the different subscribers to Scandroid Pro. And so that was the key element of that program that really got me excited about it. And so I started using this thing. Of course, he gave me a free subscription and allowed me to use it and give him more and more feedback, and we increased the number of stores and all that. And I started using this thing for a while and didn't realize how much I had depended on it. And about 6 months later, I couldn't pull up any new deals. And I was thinking, what gives? Why can't I pull up any new deals? And another day had passed, and I wasn't getting any new deals. And the deals are delivered to the website. You just log in, and you have 10 new deals a day or 25 new deals a day, depending on which subscription you have. But I wasn't getting any deals, so I sent him an email and said, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, yeah, your subscription lapses after 6 months. And then it made me realize how much of an integral tool this was in my sourcing. And I asked him, I said, I would like to really take this thing to the next level, because it can't hurt us to have more members and more subscribers that you already do in Scandroid Pro, because everything's randomly assigned. There's very little duplication. So why don't you create this same program, but we can rebrand it under the Scanner Monkey logo? So, but instead of calling it Scanner Monkey, I decided to go with something a little different. So, just change the name slightly, and it became Cyber Monkey Deals. So, I hired a guy to create a new logo that's kind of tied in a little bit with Scanner Monkey. And, of course, as I mentioned earlier, one of the benefits of being a Scanner Monkey member is you get discounts. So I had to tie in a discount for existing Scanner Monkey members. So if you're a Scanner Monkey member, if you use Cyber Monkey Deals for your online sourcing, you get a 10% discount. It's already built in on the link. So, it was from that point forward that and we developed this partnership. So there's still Scandroid Pro. That's his thing, and he's still doing that. And now there's Cyber Monkey Deals, pretty similar. And I market Cyber Monkey Deals more to the Scanner Monkey group and help them out with their online arbitrage, and then suggest new stores. And what started out as 6 stores has now grown to 38 stores. We have 38 stores that we source from. So, you've got the usual suspects like Walmart and Target, Kmart, all of that's in there. But then there's other, smaller, less-known stores like Cabela's Sporting Goods, LimitedCommodities.com, Linens and Things, and there's a whole bunch of other stores that we source from. So it allows us to have a greater pool of product finds to where you can randomly assign these deals to 50, 100, 150 different subscribers. And the price is relatively inexpensive for the service, depending on which level you get. I mean, it can either be $22 or $50, depending on which percentage you choose. So there's like top 1% of category, top 3% of category, and top 5% of category. Of course, with top 5% of category on Amazon, you're going to have a wider selection because you have more to choose from there than you do in the top 1%. It's a little bit more difficult to find those deals that are within the top 1% of each Amazon category. And most of what we're finding is it's not clothing, it's not shoes, it's ungated categories mostly with groceries and health and personal care. That's the entire set, are those items. Occasionally we'll get some things on there that'll say apparel, but it's really like a toy, like a princess dress or something like that. But it's, if you want clothing and shoes, there's a lot of other great lists available out there for that.
And I think that's important to note, is that toys are a heck of a lot easier to scrape than clothing. I mean, clothing is complicated.
Because of the variations, yeah. Because I've actually asked him, can we create a clothing? He's like, the amount of programming that would go into developing something like that is just mind-numbing. And I can certainly understand that. I mean, with variations and sizes and colors and, all of that, it's because, we've had so many people come and request, like, can you please create something where it's like, look, I can point you in the right direction, but that's more of a VA thing, really.
Right.
And again, there's some great deal lists out there for clothing and shoes.
Well, I want to walk through an example. Okay, so I'm out on the website right now, and I'm looking at the VTech InnoTab software Octonauts, right? Mm-hmm. So the example here, as I'm looking across here, right, it's saying Scano sheet. I'm looking at that. And so, it's showing you the buy box, it's showing you the FBA price, it's showing you the merchant fulfilled, it's showing you the rank, it's showing you a profit, it's showing you an ROI, and it's showing you a margin. And it's basically giving you just a ton of information in here. So walk me through.
But a very easy to read interface, and that was.
Oh my gosh, that's so simple. That's an easy
As
example.
well, and it's like, if you want spreadsheets, great. You can download your entire product list into a spreadsheet and slice it and dice it any way you see fit. And when we first started this, we didn't have that option. We just recently added that. We've added filters. We've added the ability to download yours. So you could actually take everything like I have, because I've been the founding member of Cyber Monkey Deals since we launched it in February, just a few months ago. I have over 10,000 products in my list. And I can take them and filter them any way I see fit, and I can download it. And we just added also a couple months ago what we call an out-of-stock subscription, which means these are items that they're good profit items that you could find on Target.com or Walmart.com or whatever, but they're not available online. They've already sold out online. But that doesn't mean you can't find them in a Target near you. And I've been doing a lot of that lately, where I just print up a list of the out-of-stocks, and when I go into Target, that's my shopping list now. I go in there, it's like, well, this is out of stock online, which is good. When it's harder to find, that means, the demand's still there. The supply is just down. You can command a higher price. And so that's what a lot of people are starting to go towards as well, that are doing more retail arbitrage than online arbitrage.
So somebody with a good Excel skill set could really maximize this information.
Oh, yeah. And the possibilities are limitless. I actually just did a video today kind of walking people through how to use the filters. So in my example, what I did was I on the filters at the top of the screen, I put in, I want a minimum net profit of $6. I want to make $6 selling this on Amazon. I want a minimum ROI of 50%, and I want the maximum rank to be 50,000. That's a pretty good rank for whatever, for the most part. And then we've taken it a step further, and we've added filters for the store and for the category. So this was an idea I had, because now I'm gearing up for Q4. And, I started my business doing mostly toys for the first 2 years, a lot of collectible stuff. And since then, I've gotten into all the different categories. I'm ungated in everything for the most part. So I'm doing clothing, I'm doing shoes. I'm a widget salesman like so many other FBA sellers. But now that we're getting back into Q4, I'm definitely going to be devoting a lot more of my budget to toys again, because that's, one of the many items that sells a lot during Christmas. So what I did was I pulled up Target, toys, $6 net profit, minimum ROI of 50%, maximum rank of 50,000. And in a list that was 10,000 long is now 62 units. And
Okay, so stop there a second.
That becomes my shopping list.
62 units that you know that meet all that criteria given the snapshot in time you looked at it, right? Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay there, right? That's a snapshot.
It's a snapshot.
But now you can take that and go to Target.com or go into a local Target and look for those particular items. And if you travel enough of these stores, they're all laid out the same, similar anyway.
Sure.
And their planogram tells them where to put everything, and it's pretty similar. So you're able to go through and find items without really spending a lot of time scanning because you've done the hard work up front. I think that is how you gain time and because the only thing most people have trouble with, it's not, I guess people have money trouble, but a lot of it is just time.
Sure, absolutely.
And so 62 items that you could literally take and go into a Target and find some of those items. And they should be at the prices you are, and if you do and you turn them around quick enough, they should turn and give you that $6 profit.
It's all about leveraging your time. And that is the thing that I always tell people every chance I get is you have two things. You have time and you have money. Leveraging your time. Get a VA or get a service like this or a program like this or clothing and shoe deal list or whatever. That's leveraging your time. And then leveraging your money can either be I'm using credit card, which I don't recommend using credit cards and then building up interest. Use credit cards if you can pay them back, within 30 to 60 days, avoiding the interest charges and all that. But I mean, it's, leveraging your money, same thing. So you're putting, dollars into a list like this or a program like this, or you're putting money into hiring somebody to do your packing and shipping for you so you can go out and do more sourcing and so on and so forth. But, this is a great way to really speed up almost exponentially your sourcing time. And I've been there with like a lot of people when they first get started. It's like, well, how do you get started? Well, go pick an aisle in a Target and scan everything. Yeah, that's you got to pay your dues. But once you get to the point where you have more money than you have time, because everybody, I think, or not everybody, but many people start out with, I've got more time than I have money, and you use that time to learn more about the business and grow your business to where you get to a point where you have more money, and then you can start leveraging that to continue to grow your business. And so there's a lot of great resources out there that you can spend money on that hopefully should, increase your funds tenfold.
And I just think that that's so smart. Again, you're saying, hey, join Scanner Monkey, join Cyber Monkey deals. These things are going to help you get faster. And the beauty of Scanner Monkey is you got discounts that'll help pay for that, right? That pay and that'll make up for it. And in Cyber Monkey deals, you're going to make it in profit and very quickly. And your time is better used, finding ways to get discounted gift cards and other things to make those even more profitable. That's on top of what you're able to find with Cyber Monkey deals. I just think it's great. Here's another thing that really throws me is that I interviewed Mandy Lipsick, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about Excel. You're the second or third person to mention the skills that if you're skilled in Excel, that really helps you in this business. And so, if there's a piece of advice that it sounds like from 2 or 3 very successful sellers, you really need to take the time to learn Excel. And it's free. I mean, just go on to YouTube and it'll show you. But that value in being able to manipulate this data is so worth it. So there's a time that you should be investing, learning, and use a service like yours to get the sourcing. I think that's a great.
Mindy is the Excel master. That guy has forgotten more about flat files, I think, than most people will ever know. So, yeah, he's definitely an efficiency expert. And he probably hates this term, but he's an efficiency guru for sure.
Wow, this is great. And so the program is still open for people. And you mentioned that you get a random 5 items if you take the one list, right? And so are other people getting those same 5 items?
No. There's very little duplication. Now, what we do also is we monitor how many people are getting the same deals. Now, not to say there's no duplication. Because of the randomization of this, there's going to be some duplication. But if we find that it gets to a point where it's getting over like 10 or 12 people receiving the same deal, then we'll shut that list down. And we've actually done that in the past. We had a list when we first started. It wasn't based on percentage, and the percentage was actually a request from our subscribers. We want to change the list to top 1%, top 3%, top 5%. It used to be, deals under 100,000 rank and deals under 250,000 rank. And so we've since changed that. But like the one that was under 100,000 rank, we noticed that it was starting to, the duplication was starting to get up into like close to 20. So we had to shut that list down. And then if anybody wanted it, they had to basically put their name on a waiting list. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's not going on anymore. And then there's also, we just added Scan Sheet, which you can also find on cybermonkeydeals.com. And that's if you have your own inventory on a spreadsheet, like let's say you have a spreadsheet from a wholesaler has 5,000 UPC codes on it. Like that's actually what I used it for. And like I'm starting to get into wine accessories, aerators and Go Vino glasses, things like that you can use with wine and spirits, whiskey, chill rocks. And I took this list of close to 5,000 SKUs, close to 5,000 UPCs, and I upload it to Scan Sheet, and it evaluates all that based on a criteria that you put in there. So you upload the sheet, and then you say, okay, here's my filters. I want to have, again, 50% ROI, $10 minimum profit, ranked under 100,000, and it spits out a spreadsheet with all of those items. So it goes from like 5,000 UPCs down to like 120. And then you can start using that to research products on Amazon to see what's selling, what's not selling. And so it's and it does it every day. So it scans it every day, so it shows you price drops and price increases, so you don't have to pay each time that you scan it. And
is there a limit how many items that you can send on this?
What we do is, because you can scan the same sheet over and over again for 30 days, once you put the sheet in there, you can't delete it. So, like, let's say you buy the subscription level that is 50,000. That's the amount of items. So you can upload 5 sheets of 10,000 UPCs apiece, and it'll scan those sheets every single day. Okay, or you could upload one sheet with 5,000 or 50,000 UPCs, and then it'll scan that sheet every single day. The limit that we have right now is 250,000. So that means you could have, again, one sheet of 250,000 that'll be scanned every day, or 5 sheets at 50,000, or 25 sheets at 10,000. So, and that top level is like $120 a month. But we have, you can go as low as 2,000 items per month, and that's only $9. That's kind of like the beginner one.
And one more thing that you did different with CyberMonkey Deals that you mentioned to me offline was you're doing category specific. Now that's new. I know we mentioned you have 38 stores that you're looking at, but you're doing category specific?
That's correct.
Okay, so just give us the 30-second version of that. So if I sell auto parts, is this program for me?
Well, there are some auto parts on here. I would say that the list seems to skew heavier for toys and games, for grocery, for health and personal care, and for home and kitchen. And the only reason being is that's not what we're looking for specifically. That's just what seems to have the best deals this time of year. So you're only as good as the data you're scraping. So right now, it's just finding a lot more home and kitchen items. It's finding a lot more toy items. There's a lot, one of the top items on my list now is like a fat-burning capsule, so, 60 count. But it tends to find those items more than anything else. But there are automotive, there's baby, there's beauty, electronics is in there as well, musical instruments, office product. I mean, basically, most of the Amazon categories, with the exception of clothing and shoes, with those variations, it's on there. But you're not going to find a ton of, just based on my own experience with this, you're not going to find a ton of automotive.
But getting in for fourth quarter, toys and games, let's face it. I mean, that's the livelihood. So you're saying that you can be specific to toys and games, then you can filter it down by store, and you can filter it by percentages and rank and profit margins and all that kind of jazz. Wow, that's amazing. And
you can even stack them too. So if you wanted to do an out-of-stock subscription and you wanted to do a top 1% subscription, and then throw on Scanalyze, which is a great little tool that you can actually, with Scanalyze, you not only have Scanalyze on the website, but there's an extension for Chrome that's part of that, to where when you open up a product list on Amazon, it'll show you, here are the ranks, click on this, it'll show you, camel ranks and price, it'll show you price zombie, it'll show you Keepa graphs, it'll show you everything you need to know about that item, along with here are the, lowest 3 FBA sellers, or here are the lowest 3, MF sellers, the lowest FBA seller, weight, size, dimensions, everything you need to know to make your buying decision will be included on Scanalyze.
And thinking about this, I really still believe that people need to go in the store and get some experience and pick up a product, hold it in their hand, scan it, and see, hey, why doesn't this make sense? And eventually their light bulb goes on. Mm-hmm. But boy, when you want to get to that next level, this is a way you can really quickly accelerate your business.
I
really
totally agree. I'm a little bit biased, but I totally agree.
Well, you know what? I mean, hey, my podcast is about helping people get unstuck. I tell people this all the time, that it's easy to sell 100 items a day on Amazon. It really is. 100 on eBay, man, that's hard work, right? That's real hard work.
Yeah.
It's that 10 or 20,000 a month in sales really isn't that hard to attain, but it's not enough to have a living. Or you're not going to make enough money to replace a decent job. And so you really have to get to that 30, 40,000 a month. And that is a challenge, because you run out of time or you run out of money. And what you're saying is, hey, I have a way I can give you some time back. And that's really a big deal. And you can make your money on the other side, as I say, is, finding discounts and finding better sourcing sites and ways to reduce your costs. This is a great way to give you the product to buy. So
I agree. Well, here's the thing also, and Trent will probably get upset with me for saying this, but I always recommend this is a great tool. It's a great resource. Now, would I just use this and nothing else if I'm getting to like the level you're talking about? It's 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 in sales per month. Probably not. I mean, yeah, it definitely is going to help you with that. It's definitely going to help out a great deal with that. But I would also look into diversifying into gated categories, looking at shoes, looking at clothing, look at things with higher ASPs. And, using this as part of the equation. It's, this is something that I use. I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. I mean, I use it every week. And, Scanalyze is, again, becoming an invaluable tool for me just from a research standpoint. It just really speeds things up for me. And I'm all about automating my business. Andy Slayman's talked about this in one of his groups the other day is, what's your dream? What's your goal? And automating his business was a big goal for him. And I'm in the same boat. I want to get to the point where I can walk away from the FBA business for like a week or two if I need to, and everything's still being handled. Things are still being ordered. Things are still being shipped in. And, of course, I use an inventory prep service, and I haven't touched tape, and I don't know, it's probably been 6 months for me now. Everything is done by somebody else, and I'm just looking for ways to delegate the entire process out. And the only log jam that I have right now is finding the time for me to personally sit down and then cull through, Cyber Monkey deals and spreadsheets and shoe lists and all the different, opportunities that are out there. And there's certainly no shortage of opportunities out there.
But I think your finance degree really has given you a big advantage there too, because you can build those costs into your buying model. Absolutely. And I think that's just something for people to understand, is that if they really do want to use one of these a prep service, it's expensive. I mean, there's a cost to it. But if you build that into your purchasing model, mm-hmm. and you say, hey, my cost is $1.35. I'm making this up, $1.35 a product, no matter what, right? If that's my average. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You add that to anything, and you can plan for it and say, okay, now I need $7.35 profit margin. And if I get that, boom, I'm whole, but I didn't have to do a thing. I mean, that's valuable, right? And so Absolutely. You can figure that out, mm-hmm. and I think that degree has really helped you there. So we're coming to the end, and a couple of things I want to ask you. The fear question, I ask that question usually of most people who aren't that experienced, but you've already had a business that didn't succeed. I don't want to call it a failure because you learned something from it. How did you get over the fear to go back into this, back into entrepreneurship after how'd you pull yourself up and get back in it?
Well, again, it was more necessity than anything else. I
Okay.
needed help. I needed to make more money than I was currently making. And my wife and I kind of have a running joke in the house. The wine business is great. It's got lots of perks. I've traveled around the world. I've been to Italy and New Zealand and Australia and have won some nice incentive trips. And I get to travel to other places on other people's dimes, which is really nice. When you don't have to pay for it yourself. I get to eat at nice restaurants because those are my customers. That's a nice little perk. Company car, all these things add up. But I mean, it's not like, you're making this huge salary in the wine industry, honestly. And so, I'm making good money because I've been doing it for 20 years, but I needed to make more money. And so, based on my skill sets and what I've researched and what I found out about FBA, it just seemed like the right fit. And, after talking it over with Karen, that's my wife, we decided, okay, as long as I'm not spending, tons of money up front, spend $25,000 and learn how to flip real estate or anything like that. This is
Right.
something that it's a low cost to get in. I mean, we basically had a little under $1,000 to invest and, invested it in, the software and basically inventory, and then that was it. And then started with thrifting, low cost items, and again building it from there. So, the low cost to enter was a big part of that. This has been something where I had to I want to buy a franchise and it's going to be $50,000 out of pocket and take out a loan against the house or whatever, then yeah, that would be something to be very fearful of. But FBA is it's not that difficult to get into. So that kind of takes a little bit, and it doesn't cost that much to get into, and you're not going to be out that much money if you don't succeed at first. You're going to be making some bad buying decisions here and there, but for the most part, there's not as much risk as there are with other types of businesses. So to me, it wasn't as much fear. And again, like I said, I've always just kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. I've always had some things that I've done on the side, whether they worked out or not, but it's just I want to make my own money. I want to be the master of my domain and in charge of my own destiny. But I'm like you. I also kind of don't want to leave the wine industry. But I'll let you on a little secret. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to do it. It gets to the point like, Barrington McIntosh, he said when he quit his job before he went full time with, what he's doing with selling international on the various channels of Amazon, it was costing him more money to stay with his day job, than he was making. And I'm kind of at that point now where it's like I need to kind of make that hard decision. It's like to leave a job that I've loved and have enjoyed for the last 20 years of my life. But I think it is the right move because I have to do what's right for me, and I have to do what's fair for them.
Okay. So you're really, what you're saying is you're not afraid to make a decision, a calculated decision, not a fatal decision, right? I mean, you're not, it's all or nothing. You're not betting everything on 7.
No.
And that's how you were able to get past. I mean, I just think that that's such great advice, is that, to put some thought into it. And when it's slapped down to it, it really is a very low barrier to entry into this business, and doing it the slow way. Doesn't sound like you used a lot of credit to get it started, which is great advice.
No.
And I just think that that's just so smart. And here you are 3 years into it, and you're thinking about maybe leaving your job. There's the other big nugget of the night, is that you're waiting patiently to have that success push you out, make it like you basically give you no choice. It's like, okay, you're at the place where, hey, I'm now replaced my income and plus, and therefore it's been steady and you can prove it. And so I think that's great advice too. Well, I think a lot of people are going to get something from that.
Because my wife has a good job as well. So, with a lot of people, the decision's made for them because of their circumstances. I'm very fortunate that if I was to quit, then I can just jump on her insurance. Not everybody has that. Some
Right.
people, it's like if I quit my job and I'm the sole breadwinner and, my company is paying for my insurance, that's a big decision to make, and not something that many people are willing to do, and especially when you've got multiple kids like I do. So, there's different people or different circumstances. What's right for me may not be right for somebody else, but I'm always been a believer in diversifying your income streams and your revenue. And so I think now that I have 4 revenue streams, it's like something's going to have to give here.
Well, it's you've taken side hustle to new levels for sure.
That's what it's called, the quad hustle. It's like
the quad
FBA
hustle,
and you got Scanner Monkey and FBA, and of course your family. That's a hustle too. It's not like, I'm not saying my family is work, but it's still you want to spend time with your wife and your kids, and so you've got to make that time. It's like you were saying earlier, segment.
That's
so
right.
that you increase that segment that you can have. Like I'm kind of in the same boat as you. There never really will be balance, but I look in life in threes. Everything is in threes for me. 3 kids, I have 3 dogs, I have 3 jobs. But it's like that seems to be what I can juggle. I can juggle those 3 balls, and if you start throwing another one in there, something's gonna suffer from that.
That's right.
So, if it's like, okay, I'm doing really well with, Scanner Monkey, and I'm doing really well with FBA, and I'm doing really well with the wine job, well, then the family's struggling, and then I'm not spending enough time with the kids. So it's like, okay, I got to take one of these and kind of push them aside or assign them to somebody else. That's what I love about what I do also is I partner with some really amazing people. Trent's my partner with Cyber Monkey Deals. He helps me out a great deal with that. Cordelia Blake is my partner with Scanner Monkey, and she helps me out a great deal with that. So, she's been kind of not able to really contribute a whole lot for the last 2 weeks, had like a routine procedure, spending some time in the hospital. So I've kind of taken over Scanner Monkey and, allowed her that time to recuperate. And then I'm going to go away for a national sales meeting for an entire week, and I'll be able to check the Facebook group from time to time. But, a lot of my day is going to be meeting after meeting after meeting, and I'm not going to be able to contribute a whole lot. So then Cordelia jumps in there, and she takes over, and she runs the ship. Or if I'm on like some trip or something and, she can take over. So it's like, again, it goes back to aligning yourself with the right people. And I've definitely been blessed in that respect.
And giving more than you get. And that way you're just blown away when you do get. All right. So the last question I have for you, right, is the goal of the podcast is to help people move forward. And I think you've given a lot of great advice on how people can move forward and examples too, that how people can move forward. Mm-hmm. Give me a tip, a trick, an idea, a process improvement that you think people can put into their business tomorrow. They can go out, no matter what their size of their business, what could they do to really grow their business?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. Tomorrow, not tonight.
Yeah,
I'm going to give them a light sleep.
Put
I want
me
them,
on the spot.
Tomorrow.
I mean, I have all kinds of different ways that I've,
give me one. I only want one.
Okay. Well, I mean, but a lot of these are like long-term things, and but then again, I'm a big fan of the compound effect. It's actually a book I read not that long ago on a plane ride to Orlando for the Scam Power conference. And
Darren Hardy, read it.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Okay, there you go. So I mean, it's all about doing a lot of little tasks every day, and then building up to something big at the end. So there are a lot of little tasks, and it's like, for me, it's doing these things even when you don't feel like doing them. You have to be disciplined. So the kids are in bed, wife's maybe watching Walking Dead in the other room, and it's like 9:30. I may be exhausted. It's been a long day. I still jump on, and I look at my spreadsheets. I look at my Cyber Monkey Deals. I look at, Quincy Lynn's gated list for shoes, and I give myself a goal. I am going to spend, and in my spends, they're going to seem like, drops in the ocean compared to a lot of the members of Scanner Monkey, but I try to spend $500 a day. That's my goal. I want to spend $500 today, and I'm not going to go to bed until I get it done. And sometimes that can be a 5-minute sit down in front of your computer, and other times, you're not finding the right deals, and you got to keep going and going and plugging away. So, I mean, for me, it's these daily goals that add up to the big lofty goal.
Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like, set yourself the daily goal and, work backwards. So if I want to make, and I'm sure a lot of people share the same advice, but I mean, I really take it to heart. It's like, if I want to make, the $30,000 in sales, I'm going to be spending at least $30,000. Well, how do you translate that? Well, that's, $1,000 a day that you're going to need to spend. And how are you going to do that? Do you have the time to do retail arbitrage and drive around? I don't. I used to, but I don't anymore. Now it's like my arbitrage is a matter of convenience. I do it when I have a little bit of time, and it's usually either first thing in the morning. Let's say I skip a workout and I do it before the kids get up, before the wife gets up, and a little easier to do during summer vacation. Once school starts, it's going to be a little crazy, but or I do it at night after everybody's in bed, and spend an hour or two in getting to that daily goal, to make that monthly goal, to make that yearly goal. So and the thing is, I also am a big fan of lean into it. Or what is the term that I hear all the time? Ready, fire, aim. Don't get paralyzed by analyzing, analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis. Sorry. Don't get stuck in that rut where it's like, well, this may work if but then it may not, and I don't know what to do. Just get out there and do something. Get out there and try a different category. Try going into Marshalls and sourcing shoes and scanning all the UPCs, or try a different kind of online source. Go to a different website, a different store. Go to Retail Me Not and look for all the stores that have free shipping. That's your starting point. It's like, I want to cut down on costs anyway, so why don't I just start with the stores that have, here's Cabela's. They do free shipping if you buy over $50. Okay, I'm going to start there. I'm going to look in their clearance. So again, just trying something new every day, and yeah, it may not all work, but you're certainly going to find a lot more ways to succeed than just keep doing the same thing. Just keep selling toys and games, and that's it. So.
Love it. The compound effect. I mean, I think that's a great way. Small bite. Wait, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
Compound effect.
Building that momentum. Absolutely.
Love it, pal. Love the name.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for taking the time, and I really appreciate you taking the time and giving us so much great information.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, Stephen.
All right. Take care, my friend.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the E-Commerce Momentum Podcast. All the links mentioned today can be found at ecommercemomentum.com under this episode number. Please remember to subscribe and like us on iTunes.